Okay, we just got to Austria, more specifically Salzburg. This is our room. Our suite. Suite. We have a nice closet when you come in to the left. We did not get an iron in any of the hotels
in Italy,
so this is a nice welcome surprise. A lot of nice shelves. Believe it or not, everything in the minibar is free for us. So kind of interesting. So when you first walk into the room, off to the right is the bathroom, just for doing the business. And then when you walk in, Angelina actually has a very nice large bed. Pull out. Computer desk. Our bed. TV's off to the side, which is kind of weird. And then, oh, it does? Oh, never mind. It swivels. Good. Cool. And then the other part of the bathroom, which is kind of interesting, is for showering and bathing. And so off to the right is the shower. Really nice rain shower head. And another little head. And then it's got a pretty deep bathtub if you wanted to take a bath. Plenty of towels. It's got 2 sinks. Pretty nice. Huge mirror. And then Angelina, show us our view.
Hi guys, so outside the room there is these window doors and this little ledge here, and here's Mom. Hi. So this is the window open, and so you can see out. 3. There we are. So there are apartments over there. There's a lot of building. Down the street is all the towers and stuff, but this is what the view we have on the 5th floor from my side. Let's see. Do you have that on your side?
No, I don't. No, it's fine.
You do, but there you go.
All right, so we're signing off for right now. We're going to get unpacked. And then maybe order room service or something like that. Oh,
kombucha.
That's cool. So they got a little welcome message from room service. Dear family Sayles, we are very happy to welcome you in our hotel. So they gave us a few chocolates, some kombucha. Pretty nice. All the staff was very friendly. It was a very long drive to get here though. So it was like almost 5.5 hours. But very happy with the room. This is one of the junior suites, so very nice. All right. So for the rest of the day, we're just chilling out today. We're probably going to go walk around town just to get our bearings. But other than that, we are not doing anything until tomorrow is when we first have our excursions. So we had a couple things planned tomorrow. So, all right. Bye.
For sure. Yeah. And then the best food. Yeah. When we're done eating pasta and pizza, and we want different food. So here we are in the Mirabellgarten, which is very famous. And here behind you, this is our Congress Center, very modern. We got it in the 1950s, but it got renovated just 10 years ago.
You know what? Let me do this.
The first. Yeah, so, and I'm sure you're a big Sound of Music fans, aren't you?
We were, yeah.
Yeah, you know all the songs by heart.
Not by heart.
But you know them. Okay, because here in the garden we have already some of the Sound of Music sites. Yeah, and this Mirabellgarten consists of two parts. So this is the English garden. You see, there are big trees, they're allowed to grow as they want to. And we continue to the French garden, the Baroque garden.
Okay. Musical movies are my favorite.
Ah, okay.
I'm kidding. Usually if it's a musical, I usually change the channel. But I do love the scenery. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you know, Sound of Music, all the outdoor scenes were produced here in the city and in the surroundings. Attention, this is the most dangerous spot of our tour. You have to cross the cycling lane, and the cyclists, they are not only fast, but most of the time not very kind.
So how far away from here do you live?
If I had taken my bike, it would have taken me 12 minutes.
Oh yeah, by bike?
By bike. If I walked 30 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
So not far in this direction.
Oh, right
by
on.
car, also 10 minutes.
Yeah, we started out in Italy. We started out in the south of Italy.
Sorrento.
We went up to Rome. We went through Tuscany.
Oh,
we went
beautiful.
through Orvieto.
Oh, I
Milan,
love it. Yeah.
And then Venice. And then, yeah, we were in Venice yesterday when we left.
Oh,
And then we had a driver drive us all the way up to here.
very good.
So, oh, beautiful.
Yeah. Italy is my favorite country.
Yeah.
Behind Austria, of course. But they have the sea. No. Sorry. There are too many tourists here for the poor grass.
Wow.
Yeah. Here you have one of our most famous views here. It's the Mirabellgarten, the castle where we want to go to later. Yeah, and the scenery you know from Sound of Music.
Yes.
So we call these stairs meanwhile the Do-Re-Mi stairs. You remember Maria used these stairs to teach the children the music notes.
Yes.
So each substitute for one music note, they were jumping up and down and
Right.
singing Do-Re-Mi. And then when they knew the song, they were dancing around this fountain, singing again. So if you want me to take a picture of you, then just tell me anytime.
Sounds good.
So let's go down here. Now we're lucky, no rain. And we just turn around the corner here for our first lesson, history. Don't be afraid. I don't want to bore you with 20 years and names, but you have to know a little bit that you can understand why it looks like it looks.
Right.
Yeah, you see this garden. This is a typical Baroque garden, a French garden. And the Baroque period, that was on the whole the 17th century. And then all the rulers in Europe ruled absolutistically. Everybody had to do what the ruler wanted, and not only the humans, also the plants to grow according to the wish of the ruler. So you see all the trees, the bushes here in front of us, they are trimmed precisely, and the flowers are not allowed to grow anywhere, just in these ornamental flower beds. And can you imagine, we have 30,000 of these small flowers here in the garden, even a little bit more, and they are planted twice a year. So in October we get the pansy flowers. They survive the whole winter, even if there is a lot of snow and even if it's ice cold. Thank you. And yeah, they are removed in May, and then they are replaced by these small flowers in white, pink, red, the begonias.
Wow.
And they are combined with other small flowers, yellow, later you see blue ones. So it's always a bit different. The begonias are always here, but the rest is always, it depends on the fantasy of the gardeners.
So what are the designs supposed to be? I can't
That's just fantasy. There is,
Oh, okay.
that's no meaning.
I didn't know if they were in the shape of something. Or...
No. It's just,
Beautiful.
yeah, and look also at these beautiful stone urns. You see them here on the right, left hand. They all look different, and they are all made of white marble from the Untersberg mountain. I can't show you this mountain now because it's in this direction. I think it's too cloudy now. We couldn't see it from here, but later on the photos, if we're lucky, we can see it. Then I show it to you. And there, this white marble has been cut forever. And here on the left side, it's our rose garden. So the only flowers here are roses.
Oh, wow. So they have it all sectioned off by flower. Gotcha.
So, and here my favorite parking area is free for us. I booked it for us. This is perhaps the most beautiful stone urn here.
Yeah.
And they get black very quick.
Yeah.
So every 3-4 years they have to be cleaned, and then they are white for a short period. So here we have the best view.
Wow. So pretty.
So, history lesson. I must start in Stone Age, because even then people appreciated to settle here for 2 reasons. First of all, we have 3 mountains in the city. A bit of the highest and largest you can see here, the Capuchin Mountain. Another big one is here behind the trees. Later we have a bit better view on them. Now it's hidden by the trees. Why was a mountain so important? You see, in former days the whole land was muddy. Rivers were not regulated, floods occurred, and of course up on a hill it was dry, and from up there you had a good view. You saw the enemy, if he approached. But the main reason for settling here was a salt mine about 10 miles south of the city. And this salt made us rich. So Salz, that's the German word for salt. And you find this word Salz everywhere. Salzburg, the name of the whole province. Salzburg, the city where you are now, the capital of this province. Salzach, our main river. Salzburg, our castle. So Salz everywhere. Yeah, and today you can't imagine to get rich because of salt, because it's a very cheap product today. But in former days it was very expensive, very precious. It was even called the white gold. Why? People needed it much more urgently than we today. First of all, for preserving their food. They had no fridges, and so they put everything which was possible in salt to preserve it. Meat, fish, eggs, vegetables. And they also needed it urgently for making leather. They were for tanning. And you see, there were only a few salt mines here in Central Europe. And of course, if you had one, you could tell the price. So around 500 before Christ, the Celtics invaded this area here. They were very skillful miners and craftsmen, and they extended the salt mining business. And they founded a first kingdom here. And this kingdom was then overtaken by the Romans, you know them meanwhile, in 15 before Christ, and Salzburg became the first Roman city north of the Alps. And it was an important Roman town for some centuries until the time of the big migration. Then the Germanic tribes moved in from the north, east. It was not so comfortable anymore. All the peoples were moving around, many wars occurred. Yeah, and the Romans decided to go back to sunny Italy. Around 500 after Christ, the Romans were away, and the Roman city fell in decay. And for the next 200 years, I can't tell you what happened here. We just don't know it. A few people might have been here, but those who were here, they could not write, so nothing is left. So we call this period between 500 and 700 after Christ the Dark Ages, because we only know very little things about it. Yeah, and our actual history starts around 700. At this time, this area here was part of the big Franconian Empire. That's on the whole today is France and Germany. And here, the ruler, the Duke of Bavaria was the ruler. You know Bavaria, we are very close to the Bavarian border now, and Munich, that's today the capital of Bavaria. Yeah, and this Bavarian Duke, he sent one Catholic bishop to this area to do missionary work, to spread the Catholic faith. And Bishop Robert arrived here in 696, and he founded the first monastery in the German-speaking world here in Salzburg, the monastery of St. Peter, which still exists. And the city began to spread around this monastery. Salzburg soon became our own diocese. That means we had our own bishop, who was raised to the rank of an archbishop already in 798. And this Archbishop of Salzburg was a very powerful man, and he was not only powerful, but also very rich, because 3/4 of the whole land belonged to him, and he had the monopoly on the mining business. So in former days, also silver, copper, gold were mined here, but it was especially the salt that made him so really rich, and he could afford everything what I'm going to show you. But we were still part of Bavaria until the 14th century, and then Salzburg managed to get independent from Bavaria, and since then it was an own independent state, not part of Austria like today. It was an independent church state like the Vatican now, because now the Archbishop was not only the head of the church, he was also the ruler of the state. And his full title was Prince Archbishop. Prince for the political rights, Archbishop for the church rights. Yeah, all our Prince Archbishops, they ruled absolutistically. Citizens, farmers did not have many rights or no rights, depends on who the ruler was. All went well, at least for the Prince Archbishops, until 1800. And then Napoleon arrived. He mixed up whole Europe. Salzburg did not exist anymore. We changed our owners 5 times within 13 years. 2 times we were again part of Bavaria, 2 times part of France, 1 time in between of Austria. And finally in 1816 we became part of Austria, what we are now. So very late. Yeah, and today Austria consists of 9 provinces. Province of Salzburg is just in the middle. You are now in the capital of this province, the city of Salzburg. The city today has 154,000 inhabitants. What do we live on? To be honest, on you. Of course, we also have a bit of industry, but nothing big. Small, middle-sized companies, and a third sector that's our main source of income. And here, first of all, tourism.
Cool.
Yeah, and I must tell you the very, very extraordinary story of this palace. You see, one of our most famous Prince Archbishops was called Wolf Dietrich. He was appointed in 1587 at the age of only 28 years. So pretty young for such a position. But the man who elected him thought, okay, this time we take a young man, then we have more influence in him. The idea was good, but it didn't work at all. Because as soon as he was Prince Archbishop, he ruled more absolutistically than all the others together, and nobody had any rights anymore. He was brought up in Italy. He studied in Rome, by the way. And when he arrived here in Salzburg, the first thing he did, he fell in love. But you see, for a Catholic bishop, it's a tiny problem. He's not allowed to fall in love. Correct. He's not allowed to marry. But he did not care. It was great love on both sides, and they two lived happily and officially together, like a married couple. And they had 15 children together.
Damn.
And you can imagine, he was a very special character, very greedy, very stubborn, very egoistic. But he was a very nice and careful, let's say, husband and family father. And for his family, he built this palace here, which at that time was much smaller. Only the first 6 windows you see here on the left-hand side. And there was a small garden. And later, this palace became the summer residence for our Prince Archbishops. They had it enlarged, beautifully decorated, built a beautiful roof with an even more beautiful tower, beautiful decoration around the windows. And now you might be wondering, this roof is not so really beautiful, what is she talking about? And you're completely right. But there was a big fire in 1818. The whole district here was on fire for 1 week. And also this palace was badly damaged and then rebuilt in a simpler form. That's what you see today. And today this palace houses the seat of our mayor, city administration, city council. So only offices inside. And 1 beautiful marble hall, which is our wedding hall.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah. So now let's continue here a little bit.
We're going to come back here so we can take more pictures, right?
No.
Can I go take pictures of them?
Yeah, but of course on your way back, I think the best idea is to walk through the garden.
Yeah.
And what else? What you also can do when you go back, you continue here, and then at the entrance you walk into the palace, and soon you see on the left-hand side the staircase, and you can go up. It's a beautiful staircase, and you can go up to the marble hall, the wedding hall. It's open and free, so you just go up this beautiful staircase. But of course, we don't have to hurry. You can take your pictures whenever you want.
Beautiful.
Let's go here. It's even more beautiful here. Yeah, and why is it called Mirabell? Mirabell means beautiful view. And if you stand here in the center of the original palace, you have the best view on the cathedral and the castle. So all three buildings are exactly in one line. And of course, in former days, it even worked better because the houses on the right and left side were not here yet. And yeah, this week you're lucky because last Monday I was here with a group and I was disappointed because all these flower beds were empty. And on Tuesday, most of them were ready, and on Wednesday everything was like this. Our gardens,
bloom, huh?
they planted them.
Oh, okay.
They were blooming already, but
There's still two empty beds at the front, but
yeah. Perhaps they're waiting for the right flowers. I don't know. Or because we had heavy rain here. Not yesterday, but Saturday and the last week it was raining every day.
Wow.
And especially Saturday it was pouring cats and dogs the whole day.
Do they replant the flowers very often?
Twice a year.
Okay.
So they're here until October, and then we got the pansies in white, yellow, blue, and they survive the whole winter.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and why did our Prince Archbishops need a summer residence? Their summer residence is just behind the cathedral, so about 10 minutes walking from here. They don't need another big residence. But you see, it was the Italian fashion. You have probably heard about the Villa Suburbanas, the summer houses out of the city. That was a big fashion. And you see, it was in Baroque period, people were told the social position you have in society is wanted by God and given by God. So if you were poor, bad luck. God wanted you to be poor. You couldn't change it, and people did not think like today. But if you were rich, you wanted to impress everybody. You wanted to show what you had, what you could afford. And you see, this was the private summer house of the Prince Archbishop. And also the garden was his private garden, not open to the public like today.
Right.
He invited his guests here into the palace. They had lunch there. They listened to a concert. Then they went for a walk. And here he could show what he could afford. And also he could prove his knowledge about foreign cultures, foreign nations. You see, we're here at the main fountain. It's getting repaired at the moment. I think it was too much rain last week. And this fountain is surrounded by four statues which symbolize the four elements: fire, water, air, earth. And at the same time we call them the robbery group. You see, in each statue there are always two persons, and they are all from the Greek mythology. And when we leave the garden at the exit, we are going to see 8 Greek goddesses inside, 8 Greek gods outside. So why do we need Greek gods in a Catholic Church state? Why all these persons from the Greek mythology? We would have our own stories and legends. But the answer is quite simple. You see, here the Prince Archbishop could show his guests what he knew about Greek mythology. So here, for example, we have Paris kidnapping the beautiful Helen. They are fleeing over the sea, and then the War of Troy broke out. And watch your step here, please. They have constructed some traps for us. And here in the next one, we're in the middle of the War of Troy. Troy is already burning, and Aeneas is fleeing with his crippled father towards on his shoulders towards Italy to found Rome. So that's the story of the foundation of Rome. And also the next one is a nice one. It's Hercules. He has to do one of his 12 works. And he comes to a country where he has to steal the cattle. And there he meets the giant Antaeus. And he had to fight against this giant. And he noticed that this giant always gains new power as soon as he touches the earth. So he keeps him up in the air, what you can see here. Here he loses his power and he can easily struggle him. Yeah. And this white building here on the right-hand side might be interesting for you. It's a marionette theater. So mostly they compose operas they perform operas composed by Mozart, but also Sound of Music with marionettes. And up on the castle there is a museum, a small one about this theater. Then I show you these marionettes. This is really cute. Since you're here until Friday, you would have enough time. Which program do we have for the next days?
We're seeing all kinds, like the palace.
Tomorrow is the full day.
Yeah.
Which palace? You're not
SCH something.
Schönbrunn, but that's in Vienna.
Yeah, that's one of the last ones we do. And
You're going to Vienna?
Yeah.
Yep.
On Friday?
Yeah.
Well, I think
Thursday.
it's Thursday.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then tomorrow we have. Tell you.
Yeah, I'm very curious. You see.
Tomorrow we're going to Hallstatt.
Beautiful.
Bad Itzel.
Yeah.
Castle Fuchsel, St. Gilgen, Lake.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Wolfgang.
Yeah,
That's tomorrow. That's an all-day thing tomorrow.
Yeah. Very good.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah, and tomorrow it's sunny again, so
That's good.
yeah, that's for the lakes. It's good. It's beautiful, but it's one of the most beautiful areas of Austria.
Well, we went to Lake Como.
Yeah.
And it was pouring rain.
Oh.
We didn't get to see very little. We went to Bellagio. Stayed there for a little short time.
You have it in Las Vegas anyway.
Yeah, so it was a little upsetting. We didn't get to see a whole lot.
Ten statues?
Eight. And the ones in the middle, also from Sound of Music, they are called the Borghese gladiators. And the originals of these statues were discovered in Rome in the 17th century. And then they were kept in the Villa Borghese in Rome. And Napoleon saw them. He liked them so much that he bought them. So the originals are today in Paris in the Louvre. But you find many copies of them in many Baroque gardens. And also Maria and the kids in the movie were posing under these statues.
Okay.
Today it looks like November, to be honest.
November?
Yes, really, in November it looked like this. Cloudy, foggy,
Obviously
not
much
very
cooler.
cold. Of course, a bit cooler. So the climate has changed, and also here it's getting warmer and warmer. And when I was a child, November was cold, but meanwhile, it's perhaps a bit colder than now.
I love the balconies. They're so pretty. The little.
Yeah, it's pretty here. It's really pretty. So Vienna and Salzburg are the two touristic hotspots concerning cities in Austria. Right. Of course, Vienna is much larger. It has more than 2 million inhabitants, and we have 154,000.
So everybody knows everybody here, kind of.
No. 154,000 is quite a lot for knowing everybody. So, and here the square is Markert Square. Hans Markert was a famous Austrian painter. He lived in the 19th century and he was born here in Salzburg. By the way, this gentleman on the right side is our mayor.
Oh.
And this square is named after him, and here we have some interesting buildings. So first of all, this building on the opposite side, this peach-colored one, is Mozart's residence. I'm sure you know already that Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was born here in Salzburg, and later, I show you his birth house, it's on the other side of the river. But when he was 17 years old, this first apartment was too small for the whole family. They moved to this house where they had a large apartment. And here he stayed for another 8 years before he moved to Vienna at the age of 25. But a little more about him later. Yeah, and here we have a beautiful Baroque church, the Church of the Holy Trinity. It was constructed by our most famous Austrian Baroque architect, Johann Bernhard Fischer von Erlach. You
Big
meet,
name.
yeah, very long name. You meet him again in Vienna, so it's worth remembering him. And he constructed 4 churches here in Salzburg. This was his first one, and his masterpiece I show you a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have Hotel Bristol. It's also one of our 5-star hotels. And when it was opened in the 1890s, it was called the Electricity Hotel because it was our first hotel in Salzburg which had electric light.
Wow.
Meanwhile, all our hotels have electric light. And Christopher Plummer, the one starring Georg, he stayed in this hotel for 2 reasons. First of all the nuns, the actresses in this case, of course, stayed here too. And here he was allowed to play the piano in the bar.
Nice.
So, and we walk around our theatre towards the river, which we have to cross.
Yeah, it was like a ghost town here yesterday because we came in and everything was closed.
Yes,
There
because
was
it
no-
was Sunday.
Yeah.
So all the shops have to have closed on Sunday.
That's we
You
didn't know
see?
that. So
Yeah, also in Germany, Austria, all these Catholic states, also in Italy, they were closed until a few years ago, but meanwhile, the big shops are open on Sunday but close on Monday. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not nice. Yeah, it's always a bit boring, I think, on Sundays when the shops are closed and not so many people are
right,
around
yeah,
because.
there was nobody around yesterday when we came.
Where did you have dinner?
Restaurant right next to our hotel.
Imlauer.
Yeah, this is your hotel up on the Sky
No,
Bar.
the hotel next door to it.
Yeah.
The next one.
Yeah.
It also belongs to him.
Yeah, it was
But
very
in
good.
your hotel,
Yeah, they
the
had
rooftop
this
bar. You had breakfast there, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. So this is my favorite restaurant.
Is it?
Yeah.
Very
They're
good.
very
Breakfast was
good
very
service,
good.
very good food, and also prices. Yeah, quite
Pretty good,
reasonable. Yeah, for you, for us, it's
Little high.
a little high, but it's really good. So on special occasions we go there.
So when you went to Las Vegas, what did you go do in Las Vegas?
Las Vegas, that was a problem. It was a bus tour.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we made a night tour and saw all the casinos.
Yes.
But to be honest, I think we had no food anywhere.
Oh, no.
Really? I can't remember. So we arrived in the afternoon and then we had this bus tour and then I can't remember having eaten. In the hotel we had I don't know. It was a hotel which looked like an old castle.
Where'd
Yeah.
you go? Oh, the Excalibur.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All the locks.
But in the Venetian, it was a different world.
Oh, yeah.
And it really looks like Venice.
It does, yeah. It's beautiful in there.
Yeah. So you often go to the casinos to
No.
play?
No, actually.
I tried to for a very short period, but I lost everything.
Oh, no.
So let's stop here, perhaps. Let's go here. Oh, we have high water today. Yeah. And, which is also called the Little Las Vegas. I can't remember the name. You must help me. With many casino hotels, and there I won. And one couple of our group won more than $1,000.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, that was nice for them.
Yeah. Did you win? Leave.
I won, I think, $15, but better 15 than nothing. So, yeah, here, this is our main river, which is called Salzach. Salzach means salt river, which does not mean that there is salty water in it, of course. But it has something to do with the salt, because our salt mine is about 10 miles in this direction. And we needed the river for the transport of the salt. If we hadn't had the river, we couldn't have transported so much salt. Yeah, and if you look to this side or straight on, you see one of our city mountains, the Monk's Hills. And you see these steep, straight rock walls. They are not natural. They were cut down in the 17th century. At that time, there was a big war in Europe, Protestants against Catholics, the 30-year war, and every third person died in this war. Every second lost his home and everything.
Wow.
Whole Europe was involved, and this small state of Salzburg in the middle of Europe managed to stay independent. But also for us it was a very dangerous situation because so many people had nothing anymore. You must imagine children, young people had no parents, no home, no food, no money, nothing. So they were wandering around begging, and if they didn't get anything, stealing. What else should they do? So also here it was dangerous, and our Prince Archbishop decided to construct a very strong city fortification. So we had a city wall all around the city, and also the mountains were integrated in the city fortification, and for this purpose the rock walls were cut down so that no enemy could come down. Yeah, and if you look to this direction, you have one of the most famous views on the old town. You see our castle, where we go to later. You see the houses and many, many towers, and all these towers except one belong to churches. So you see who and what was important here. It was the bishop and the church. And only this tower with the flags around, that's the tower of our town hall. And also our citizens had a quite good life. Most of them were merchants. They traded with the Orient, with the Mediterranean Sea, with Venice. They earned a lot of money. They could afford a good life, but they had no political rights. They were not even allowed to elect their own mayor. Even the mayor was appointed by the Prince Archbishop, and of course he chose a man who worked together with him and not with the citizens. So, now let's cross the bridge. You know the meaning of the locks?
Yes, the love
They are love locks. And if you throw the key into the water, your love will last forever. Very important. Yeah. But the problem is that all these locks are quite heavy and a danger for many bridges. So one broke already down.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I didn't tell you before.
So how often, because there's another bridge in Italy where they do something
Yeah.
similar,
Yeah.
and they said pretty regularly they have to go around and cut them all off.
Yeah.
How
So
often do they have to do that here?
yeah. So here it's a new bridge and the locks are allowed. But also here in winter, some of them are removed because it's not a danger for the bridge here, but for this grate. And you can't repair it, so you will have to exchange it, which is expensive.
Yeah.
And by the way, we need new space for new locks because also the lock sellers need their business.
Makes sense.
Yeah, you like beer?
No.
No? Okay, then
If it's orange beer.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No. Don't hear you just get beer. But I just tell you, you see this bridge, this church on the right-hand side with the green spire and the red roof? It's a church of the Augustinians. And they came around 1600 from Munich to Salzburg and brought along the art of brewing beer. So behind this church, it's their former monastery, a very famous brewery with a very popular beer and one of Austria's largest beer gardens.
Wow.
But for you, not interesting.
Right on. So where do people go get their locks engraved before they come here?
There are souvenir shops where you can buy them. You will see them in the old town, and they also engrave the names there. So, and here we have a beautiful view to the opposite side.
What is that?
Yeah. So this is the Capuchin Mountain, our highest and largest city mountain. It's named after the Capuchin monastery. And here on the mountain you see rest of our city walls and some watchtowers. Whereas down in the city walls were pulled down in the 19th century like everywhere else because they were censored then. Yeah, and here first of all you see Hotel Sacher. It's one of the most famous hotels of Austria. The main house you're going to see in Vienna. And there you must try the famous Sacher-Torte. Have you heard about it?
No.
It's a very famous cake in Austria, in Germany. It's a chocolate cake. It's filled with apricot marmalade, and the whole thing is covered with chocolate. So 1 bite, 10,000 calories, but
It's worth
every
it.
single of it. Yeah, and it was invented in this hotel in Vienna.
What's
And you get this
cake?
Sacher cake, and you get it in every coffee house here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll try it out.
Yeah, you must. Yeah, Julie Andrews, she stayed in this hotel here.
Oh, okay.
And you see this beautiful building on the right side. It's one of our traditional coffee houses. So coffee houses are very important in Austria. And this afternoon you have free time. Yeah, I show you also here on this side the famous coffee houses.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
That's where you must go to your homework for this afternoon.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, and you remember I told you at the beginning that the whole land was muddy. And here at the foot of the Capuchin mountain, the underground was stony. And so it was easier for the Romans here to construct the roads. So they had their main road towards the south along the river. And you see the houses you see down here, they were standing directly at the water because the river was much wider. It got regulated in the 1960s. No, sorry, in the 1860s. And before this, roads along the river where the cars are going today did not exist, so there was water everywhere. And so you see all the craftsmen who needed a lot of water for the work settled here, and they also could throw their garbage directly into the river. Today, not anymore. Yeah, and you see the fine citizens, they lived over here. And all those who had a stinky job lived there. So mainly the dyers and the tanners were there.
So where does this river flow into?
It flows into the Danube, and then the Danube into the Black Sea.
Okay.
Yeah, and also the street along the mountain in this direction, that was the Romans' main road towards the east, towards Linz, towards Vienna. And perhaps interesting for the ladies, this is today our second most important shopping street. So if you want to go there, you just take the next bridge where the cars are going and straight on.
Oh, okay.
And you can also take it any way. You walk up a little bit and then towards your hotel on the other side. Yeah. And the biggest part of the old town is here on this side. And also a bit toward the beginning of these Roman roads around the mountains, that's also old town. But it's a very small region.
Nice.
And we continue here at the heart of the city center.
The taxi?
Yeah.
So this is our last traffic light. The whole old town is pedestrian area.
Oh.
Only until 11 the cars are allowed to deliver hotels and shops. So until 11 you will see cars, but later
And then after that, it's no cars?
no,
Wow.
almost no cars.
Uh-huh.
So the cabs are always allowed, but there are not many because it's not easy for them to drive there. Yeah, and here you see again the rock wall of the Monk's Hill, and on top this modern building is the Museum of Modern Art. But there is also a very nice restaurant with a terrace with a beautiful view. And how do you think you can get up there? Not everybody wants to climb over a steep rock wall for a cup. Yes, there is an electric elevator inside the mountain. So today it's quite normal, but there was already an electric elevator at the outside of the rock wall where you see the holes today. In the 1890s, that was a sensation at this time, of course, and then This restaurant was called the Restaurant of the Electric Elevator. Today it's called M32, M for Monks Hill, and 32, that's the house number.
Oh, number. I think we should sit on the balcony, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah, we went to a restaurant in Sorrento.
Ah, yeah, it was.
And they had a cliff very
Yeah,
similar to this, almost as high,
yeah, and underneath the sea.
and then down below was the water,
Yeah.
and they had restaurants right by the water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was beautiful.
Ah, yeah, I was there also one day up on a hill. It was not in there, Sorrento. We had to go there for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was amazing.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
it's
you've
Yeah,
been there.
beautiful,
press,
yeah.
it was the same.
They had a walking path too, if you wanted
Yeah.
to walk up the side.
Okay, I
Yeah.
don't know. It was at night.
I don't do
We went by
hikes.
car, but it was really fantastic. It was, I think, one of the most spectacular restaurants where I have ever been. So here, you see, Salzburg is famous for the beer, because the Austrians always have liked to drink a glass of something. And in the eastern part around Vienna, there are many wineries. You must taste our. You like wine?
Yes.
Yeah,
We've had a
yeah.
lot in 2 weeks.
Me too. You must in Italy, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you see here in the western part of Austria, the climate was always too rough, the soil not good enough, and so many breweries came into being. And this brewery here was founded in 1542, but it does not exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
But the whole area always has been a restaurant. It got renovated just a few years ago, so it looks quite fashionable.
Right.
And here you have a typical beer garden. And in a beer garden, you always find these trees. You know them?
No.
They are chestnut trees.
Oh.
And they have big leaves and produce a lot of shade. And who do you think needs shade in a beer garden?
The people that work here
No, it's not for the worker, it's not for the drinker,
for the
but
beer.
for the beer. Because underneath a beer garden, there is always the beer cellar where the beer is stored. Beer has to be stored cool.
Right.
So there ain't no problem, we have fridges. But in former days, they cut ice blocks out the frozen lakes in winter and put these ice blocks together with the beer into the cellar. And if it was shady above, the ice didn't melt so fast.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the reason.
So here's some trivia for you. In the United States, back in the early days, the beer bottles were made out of green or brown glass,
Yeah,
because if it
also
was
here.
clear,
Yeah,
it would affect the beer.
yeah.
If it got
Also here,
direct
also
sunlight.
with the olive oil, it also has to be stored in
Yeah.
a dark bottle.
Dark bottle, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And now we try to get into our most beautiful and most famous street, the Getreidegasse. And soon you see it's a long, continuous row of houses. Here we see already the rear side of these houses. But how can we get into it? We could go to the end and the whole way back. Much too far. We could climb over the houses. Too complicated for me. So we just go through the houses. We always must go through the houses to get into this lane and through the houses to get out of it. That's what we're doing now. Yeah, it is pretty.
I know. That's it. So many parts of Italy that we were in, we didn't feel very safe because of There's a lot of tourists.
too many people. Yeah, yeah.
So she just said she feels very safe here.
Yeah, so actually it's safe. You never know what crazy people are running around, but actually it's safe here.
Yeah.
Also at night, so
Yeah, that's a big difference.
yeah.
Especially in Rome, we didn't like Rome.
You didn't like Rome?
No.
Very
It was very
dirty.
dirty.
Really?
Very dirty, very unsafe. A lot of peddlers there trying to sell
Mm-hmm.
you things. And
Yeah, of course.
You're always nervous about somebody trying to pickpocket you,
Yeah.
steal something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Italy is famous for
Yeah.
pickpockets.
It was great, but that was it. It was so busy. Too many cars.
But of course, if it's crowded here and everywhere where there are many people at one place, there are
Right.
pickpockets. So
Oh, beautiful.
yeah, here we are. This is Getreidegasse, our most beautiful lane. And as I told you, after 11, the cars are away. So Yeah, but yeah, you see also the shops, the restaurants, they have to be supplied with goods. So I would like to go to the opposite side. So, is it something special, Super?
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, perhaps you come to this side, then you have a better view. Yeah, and this is also an old Roman road. It was their main road towards Bavaria, and for centuries our most important street, the only one which ran through the whole city. And the name Getreidegasse means grains lane, but it has nothing to do with grain at all. Grain wasn't planted here, grain wasn't sold here, grain wasn't ground here. In former days it was called something like trotting lane, because all the horses were trotting through, and then mistakes were made in writing, and mistakes again and again and again, and in the end it was grains lane. Yeah, and as I told you, you see this long continuous row of houses, and we even can't see the end. And the reason for this construction is there was always a lack of building space here in Salzburg, in former days and today. Because down here, you know, it's the river, which was wider in former days. Behind you, the mountain. The city was in between, and there was no possibility to expand. And that's the reason why they built the houses close together, very narrow but high houses. So the original houses were maximum 3 windows wide. If you see a house like here with 7 windows, 3 houses were united later. And at first all the craftsmen lived here. They had the workshop on the ground floor, lived in the upper stories, and the first houses in the Middle Ages were made of wood. And many of the craftsmen needed open fire for their work. Baker, locksmith, and you can imagine many fires occurred, and if one wooden house is burning here, the whole street is burning. And so they began very early to construct stone houses, already at the end of the 13th century. But the roof was still a problem, because in former days all the roofs were covered with wood, and still today inside the roof there is a lot of wood. So the roof was the biggest danger, and they had some ideas how to protect the wooden roof from the fire. And one of these ideas was this hangover at the end of the facade, so that the fire could not jump so easily onto the roof. And these hangovers are quite interesting, because sometimes you find years. 1408, then you know when the house was constructed, and 1958 when it was renovated.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this street is also famous for the iron road house signs. You see, people could not read, they didn't know what is where. But if you look up here, you see the wine grapes, you see the music instrument, then of course you know, here I get a glass of wine, music, entertainment. Right. Or here just in front of us, this dancing couple, you get traditional clothes. Or here, this by the way is my favorite ice cream shop.
Oh.
And the cheapest, the first scoop is 150 and all the others only €1. Mm-hmm. And you must try, if you like ice cream, the Mozart ice cream. It's pistachio ice cream with chocolate pieces. It's delicious. So, yeah, and here, this is the sign of the brewery we just went through. That's the largest and perhaps the most beautiful one. Yeah, and let's walk down a little bit. I show you the most interesting signs and also the most interesting shops here. Soon, I show you a shop with traditional clothes. Yeah, you see here in Salzburg, we really like to wear these traditional clothes. We don't do it just to make the clown for tourists. For us, such a dirndl, it's called, is a normal dress, and every woman has at least one.
At least one, huh?
Yeah. And we don't wear them every day. Right. But if it was not so rainy today, I would wear a dirndl too, because I know the Americans like it. So let's go to, now we have a car in front of my favorite shop. So first of all, you see the key here? Yeah. So here inside, it's a big workshop of a locksmith. He produced most of these signs here in the street, and of course he also produces grates, keys, locks, everything around.
Nice. So if we wanted to lock, we would come down here.
Yeah. Cool. No, not the locks for the bridge. You get them in a souvenir. Yeah. He makes real locks.
Real locks,
yeah. But you see this typical house. They all look like this. Yeah, and here you see
These are so cute.
It's my favorite shop window here. It's just a kid shop, but it's so cute. And you see, most people in former days were poor. And these traditional clothes were the former working dresses for everybody. So men had one pair of leather trousers for their whole lifetime, because you see, leather grows with you. It has to be a bit of patina. In the end, the trousers are standing on their own. And the ladies had one dirndl. And such a dirndl, that's the name of the dress, consists of 3 parts. Today it's a short blouse, but in former days it was a long white underdress which the ladies were wearing 24 hours a day. But it was made of linen, you could wash it. Whereas the dress itself in former days was woolen fabrics which you could not wash easily.
Right.
So today everything is cotton and you put it into the washing machine. So you needed an apron to protect your only dress, and perhaps you had 2, 3, 4 aprons, sometimes a new one for work, one for Sunday, one for church. And the bow of the apron, that's a very important message for you, because it tells you if the lady is available or not. Bow at her left side means she is single, looking for a man. Bow at her right side, she is married. Bow at the back, she's a widow. But ladies, I tell you one thing. If you're married and you leave the house with the bow on the right-hand side and you see an interesting man, it could slide, just by accident, of course, a little bit to the left. But
Really?
Don't tell anybody.
Wow.
Top secret.
It's starting to sprinkle.
Yeah.
So,
That's funny.
yeah, and you see, when I was a little girl, it looked different here.
Yeah.
There were many, first of all, there were many workshops. I think there were alone 2 or 3 shoemakers in the street. Then small traditional shops where you could buy a single nail or a single screw. And many of them disappeared, because you can imagine renting a shop here is extremely expensive. And then the international chains moved in, meanwhile already again out to the shopping centers around the city. So for the first time in my life, we have empty shops here. Yeah, so, yeah, Pandora. But we also had Marino here. We had Nespresso here. We had Zara here in the shop. And they all disappeared.
It's so different.
Yeah.
Look at that cashmere sweater. Wow.
Pretty.
It is like a
Yeah, but we still have traditional shops. So what can you buy here?
Umbrella.
Yeah, you get normal cheap umbrellas.
Yeah.
But there is still sitting a man on the 4th floor in a big workshop. He can repair any umbrella or sun umbrella you can imagine. And he also produces, and walking sticks. And he also produces umbrellas according to your wishes, these ones. So you choose the wood, you choose the fabrics, and you get a real good, strong umbrella.
Wow.
Which doesn't break with the first wind. Of course, they are more expensive, but they are not unaffordable.
Oh, wow.
And in the end, I think they are cheaper than all the 50 brokens I have at home.
Yeah. Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's really a cool shop. So this is also one of the old shops.
One of the old.
Yeah. Where also yeah. It's also an Austrian company.
Oh, Jack Russell. Yeah. Well, in Italy we did.
Oh yeah, but so also here there are many dogs.
Yeah. So cute.
You have a dog?
Yeah, we do. We had 2. One of them passed away last year. We have Westies.
Okay.
West Highland
Yeah.
Yeah. We love
Nice.
little Westies. They're my favorite dog ever. The one that we have at home is a Westie and Jack Russell mix.
Okay.
She's adorable. Our neighbor's taking care of her while we're gone.
Yeah, it's good to have a neighbor, because we have a cat, and whenever we go away, we also have a neighbor. But
It's hard.
yeah.
Otherwise, we would have to take them to the vet and let them stay at the vet, and then it's
No.
costly.
Yeah,
and then they stay in a cage,
and he, it's not nice for him
No.
or her.
Those are
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, this is a beautiful shop. So they have normal clothes and traditional clothes.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's cramping up.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are now approaching Mozart's birthhouse, the main site here in this street.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is Nordsee. This is a chain selling fish snacks.
Come back here tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to come down here tonight.
Yeah, of course you have to come down here anyway. So this is the main.
It's not far.
This is the main street here. But this is just a snack bar. I don't know. It's. I think it's closed in the evening. I check
okay.
how long it's open. But for, so until 8.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me just fill in my water bottle, please, because otherwise, if I talk so much, if you can refill it, you know, you can drink the tap water everywhere in Austria, and we have the best. So where I see that sign, you know it's drinking water, and if it's no drinking water. Sorry, may I just very shortly. Hallo Sarah? Ja, ich bin gerade in der Natur, aber ganz kurz geht's. Na, da bin ich leider nicht da. Ich bin weg bis zum 18.
Check things out.
Danke Sarah, ciao. Sorry, it was just the next tour. Yeah, here in this yellow building, little Mozart was born on the 27th of January in 1756 at 8 o'clock. Really? Yeah. Also, my son's first girlfriend, she also had the same birthday, so I never forget it. Oh, that's interesting. And when? Also 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock? 7:12.
In the
PM.
morning?
PM.
PM? Oh, yeah, so
Similar.
quite the same,
Yeah.
the same hour.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
funny.
So here he was born on the 3rd floor, and you see, today there is a small supermarket here in this house, and in former days it was a spicery. In a spicery you could buy the fine things, coffee, tea, chocolate, spices of course, and we needed all these luxurious food for the life at the court of the prince.